Hey guys, I'm Joan. In this video, I'm going to compare two dialects of my conlang Leturi. Leturi is natively known as Leturi in the Eastern dialect or Leturi in the Western dialect. So I'm going to recite a poem that I wrote. It's called Thusin or Thusin. Semboythen Leturi Semboythusin then Hodasuchro Hailosi. Thusin Gapsothen Taktuk Osethach or Bentach si. Sisuk out of the shuol. Si Kokodir Noth. Sibothen Yirnoth. Semboythen Thenobisish. Semboyeten letirok, semboyetusinten, horasuchiro helosi. Tusin gapsoten taktukositon, wo bentaxi. Sisukaforo de shuvol, sikukurindrot, sibutenindrot, semboyeten, tenobisisha. Now I'm going to go through the differences. So the first thing in Western Leturi you have where in Eastern you have e. So semboye is the semboyi. TH is pronounced in Eastern Leturi, but in Western Leturi it becomes just a simple T. So then is ten. Eastern Leturi I becomes in Western Leturi. So Leturi is letir. That brings me on to the next point. So the sound in Eastern Leturi becomes the E sound in Western Leturi. So Leturi becomes pronounced letir. The next one isn't really a sound change per se, it's just a local contraction to the Western dialect. So the word for the Kalioxi River, the most important river to these people, is called Laithadokor. But in the Western dialect, it's called Letirok. So the or at the end gets dropped. Again, that's not really a difference. It's just a contraction. Because it is totally valid to say Letirokor. But it's more common to say Letirok. Another thing I would like to mention is that in Leturi, the KH is pronounced as Cha. Except in Western Leturi, where it could also be pronounced as Hia. For example, Suchiro, Chalo, Suchiro, Helo. In other differences in Western Leturi, they don't have ejectors, or in Eastern Leturi they do. So Taktuko becomes Taktoko. A vocabulary difference in dialect is in Eastern Leturi they say ethach for the word for not. You could even say etho, which makes me think of the Minecraft YouTuber etho. But in Western Leturi they don't, instead of saying ethach, which they would pronounce as etach, they actually say ton. So ton is actually the original word for not in Leturi, but then eventually the Eastern dialects are using the word for deny as a word for not, so that's why they say ethach instead of ton. The next difference is in Western Leturi they pronounce the W as a V. So this is wo bentaxi versus the Eastern wo bentaxi. Another difference is sometimes when in Western Leturi you have afu where you have ow, or afo where you have ow. So for example, in the poem in Eastern dialect you got aurore, or in Western it's kafurore. Another good example is the word for we. So we in Leturi, in Eastern Leturi is ow. So ow laither. We are Leturi, versus in Western dialect where it's afo letir. So another difference is that Eastern Leturi has the dark ow, so shuol. Where Western Leturi has the bright ow, the light ow. I don't remember what it's called, to be honest. So shuvol versus shuol. So another word is irnoth. Irnoth means be, but only in a locative sense. In Eastern Leturi it's pronounced irnoth, but in Western Leturi it's pronounced indrot. It's just a bit of metathesis. Or sound changing locations. Another difference is the question marker is sha. So in Eastern Leturi it actually gets contracted. So sisha becomes sish. So if you want to say me, you would say sish. Or for example in the poem, do you see me is thenimboy sish. But in Western Leturi they don't contract that. So they just say sisha. So thenimboy sisha. So that's what they do. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little different than the ones I usually make, because the ones I usually make are usually about naturalistic languages. So I hope you enjoyed this video and peace out.